Hi, Paul Howe, CSAT Way, Indian or the Arrow. Where is your training focus? And so, I want to kind of give you a little historical talk and my thoughts on this. So, we here at CSAT, we train the individual and work on fundamentals before we work on, I don't want to call it gadgets. Now, you're going to bring in every type of optic weapon system. We're familiar with them. But what we do is we focus on the individual and making you a better shooter with whatever platform you bring. We're going to treat you with respect and are going to articulate the whys. Now, history, I see a lot of internet BS. Everybody's got a microphone now. Beards, ink, and equal, I guess, experience. So I look at actually what they train, how they train, and kind of make a decision on my own. So we'll talk about foundation, gear guys and teams, rifle optic issues, the double stack 1911 case history, because everybody's going to the 1911 again. Red dots on pistols, what's important to you, and BS instructors, be careful, watch them, they're out there. All right, so what I did is team leader, assault team, sniper team, instructor. So we went through lots of equipment evolution. Everybody wants to sell special ops equipment, new equipment, okay? Because once it gets into special ops, it trickles down. Well, this unit's using that unit's using this. All right. So as a TL, what I would do is get a new piece of gear. I'd let one guy test it. Everybody else could, test it through him. He would write the report, the eval reports, but I want to see it long term. That means long term flat range, shoot houses, environments, jungle, Arctic, desert, urban, and see how it actually survives and works, because we need to know that if you're going to make a recommendation and push it forward, everybody's got to use it, then, okay, I want to know where it's going to break, where it's going to fail. We have people in those groups, those organizations that chase hobbies. And what is a hobby? Is a fun thing that really won't get you killed. So you've got to, as a TL, make a decision what you let in and what you don't let in. Now, at the time, IPSC was, hot and heavy, and a lot of guys did IPSC. Well, it was okay, but we came back and did equipment exchanges with debriefs after Somalia. Other folks were more interested in flat triggers on their 45s for the weekend matches than actually important equipment like striker fire that protected your firing pin. So a lot of stuff goes on there, and you've got to be careful who you let drive that train. A lot of folks right now look at the current generation of trainers, and I look at some of this stuff, and I just kind of shake my head. And it's okay. This is not to throw darts. This is to say, be aware. Be aware. Now, the gear guys, hobbyists, they've always been around. There's folks that like to bring in stuff, and there are whole sections in these different units that all they do is R&D gear. So again, TL's got to have the adult supervision and basically be a mature voice of reason, because otherwise they'll try and saturate you with so much stuff because everybody's throwing their stuff at special ops. If you go to a gun show and you get 1,000 different responses or opinions, the same thing with the Academy Sporting Goods. I used to go there and I'd get lectured on guns and things, and I just wanted to see what it looked like, what it felt like. So if you're a civilian, don't let the hobbyists influence a life and death decision that you're going to make. So some instructors will take your money and they'll give you bullshit. So check their backgrounds. Make sure that they're giving you legitimate stuff, solid information. IPSC, IDPA, I don't have a problem with them. They're training tools and vehicles, but they're not combat, they're not close. I relate it to touch football to rugby. Now, this may ruffle some feathers. Yes, you can shoot better, faster, but I'll give you some case histories where it doesn't work. Now, I had to make a clear choice early on, and I said I can either go combat-oriented or, the IPSC, and I decided to go combat. And so I saw too many gaps in the training wire. No, like I tell people, I've never shot a split in combat. Front sight dictated, and that was pretty simple. So you can do splits. That's a training thing. I've never used them, never cared for them because front sight dictates the next shot, and as simple as it is. Now, I've trained LEOs. So I've been in 3 engagements. In 3 engagements, one round solved 2 problems, and then the third, I think it was a 2-1. So really, about 5 rounds and 3 people are in the ground right now. So that is what proper training will do: be efficient, surgical, and take out the bad guys. Now, I don't publish these case histories. I just say they're there, but it's not like John Wick out there. So you have to learn to solve one problem at a time. I watch the Ipsy Max, and they're fun. That's why people do it. But you have to solve one problem at a time. I have 2 case histories, real world, of folks getting shot, and this is just from the backdoor stories, from not doing good dead checks on bad guys, moving too fast, moving through, not processing that problem, solving it, and moving on to the next one. So one gentleman's in a wheelchair, the other one, dog got shot up. So it's one of those things that you're moving too fast, overrunning your headlights, not processing one problem at a time, or processing that problem efficiently. So it's happening, and it can cause you some problems. Rifle optics. So I get a lot of difference between pistol optics, rifle optics. The rifle is pretty simple. I do nose charging handle. It's consistent. My eye is this close. It's not out there at the end of my reach. So rifle, I don't have a problem. I also have backup irons. Now, I also have a hinge point, which stabilizes the rifle. So I don't have a problem with rifle optics. And I'm not sold on the pistol, and we'll get into that. But the original rifle optics, they milked up. They were permanently attached carrying handles, and we went through a learning curve. They milked up in combat, and they failed. And you couldn't pull them off. You had to get a whole other weapon system to use or employ. So I've used iron sights more times than not, and they work just fine. So I like the 3-power magnifier for discrimination at distance. Okay, so a lot of pros, cons. You have to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, but you can't compare this to a pistol. This is a different ballgame. Now, double stack, the 1911s, they're coming back in the style pistols. Okay, they've been around for a while. Case history, in a day, a federal agency, they spend a lot of money. And so we were testing high caps, the 1911s. Well, they called down, hey, these guys are using them. So they bought them, like 2 per person. They realized it's not a good thing. So what happens is weight on your hip, carrying it every day. Next, you drop a partial mag of 1911 on concrete, that mag is probably gone. And so you have to look at all those factors and really test them, because the federal government's really good at spending your money, our money, my money too, taxpayer money. So a lot of issues. And so we're going through this learning curve again. Now, we'll use this and simulate it. It is a 1911. So it falls out of a holster, say at height. We had this happen one time. Weapon on safe, fell out of a holster, say 18 foot off the ground. It does a tumble, it does a tumble, it does a tumble, and it lands on its muzzle. There is nothing Series 70 and the 1911s that don't have a firing pin block to keep that inertia from going off. And it went off when it hit the concrete. So basically destroyed a barrel. Probably, I don't know if they DX'd the whole gun. So that will happen. It's been happening for a long time. The Series 80, from what I understand, is the ones that changed it, but then people wanted that sensitive trigger, and there's a lot of stuff back and forth on that. So they will go bang. You drop them a certain height and it stops. They're going to have to figure that out and reverse engineer it. I don't know how they're going to do it with the slides. It's a lot of money there. So you just have to be aware. The holsters are much better now. So the odds of it falling, they're not 0, but they're a lot less than in my day. The red dots, I don't have a problem with them. IPSC is not close to combat. The problem I have with a red dot, and I know, is I'm pushing it out here at my end game. So when I hear this target focus, So to focus on a target, once I make my decision to terminate life from here to here, that is, realistically 8/10 of a second. So if you think you're going to hold out here on target and keep both my eyes open, now I'm focusing in this little bit where I need to be looking at the big picture. So I'm not really getting the target focus. So too many variables out here. Rifle, hinge point. Remember, we brought that up. Pistol, there is no hinge point. It has to be the same spot. So you've got to figure out how you're going to teach it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to do the maintenance training, how much maintenance training it's going to take. So issues, I watch instructors come in and they haven't figured it out. Well, the first generation instructors, what they did is instead of simply normal stance, dropping this down and pushing out to find that dot every time, they went back on their heels. And so now they're trying to do CQB on their heels, moving through a target. It's not efficient. So we're reverse engineering. Now, the other things, you do a red dot only class, and we do them, but we have to take a certain amount of time to talk to you about these screws, the Loctite, the maintenance, the plates, the batteries, and zeroing. So that's going to take a little bit out of your shooting to master a more complex system. Just be aware of that, but we teach red dots. I don't have a problem. I look at all this in the total scheme of things and I go, do I need it? And for me personally, I'm not probably going to go to it unless something happens to my eyes. But I hear all the eye stuff, well, I can't see. Well, how are you discriminating? So if you can't see this, are you able to discriminate a target? Important stuff. So think through it. All right. I've had instructors go out, and this kind of burns me, former special ops, and they go out and teach a student. They say, oh, high port is faster. And I go, no. So the student comes to me. I walk him next door. See the date on this about 4 years ago. I go, I had him do one-shot drills. The high port and then low ready. These are the times. Now, so we're going to take the times, and you can look at them and you can calculate them. The low ready was much faster. So we're going to go into a room now with a high port against an armed individual with a slower shooting system and less visual and discrimination. I just don't understand the logic in it. People will sell you this. I put them on a range and I put them on a timer. And I go, show me. And so the individual shot this himself. I didn't shoot it for him. These were his scores. So something to think about out there. You can put what these instructors say to the test, and you can do it through flat range. You can do it through simulations. Again, I wasted training time. The problem I have is you took a law enforcement officer, which only has so much training time, and gave him a secondary system that is inefficient and not as efficient as the primary system, which is the low ready. Now, I know this whole generation is going to use it. I'm fine with that. I'm not. And so I'll give you the rationale. And if you want to go on a flat range and show me I'm wrong, we can do that. I can arrange it. Now, senior instructor, I see the same things creep in here at CSAT, or want to creep in, as it did back on the team days. So I have to make decisions. I leave things like optics optional. You just have to make the hit. You have to discriminate. So if you can make it, that's a personal choice. The weapons, they have to be standardized. The magazines have to be standardized. The ammo has to be standardized. But as far as topping it, I can leave it up to the individual. That's old school. So here's the problem. Red dot sights. Technically, rifle, you have to do 2 quals. That's optics and irons. Well, you have to do 2 quals with the pistol. Your optics and your irons. What changes from this is becoming your primary weapon a lot of times with law enforcement. So you're going to have to do 2 quals. I have a range. I own a range. I know how much people qualify, how much they shoot. And so they're not going to put in the mileage on the red dots to become proficient. They're going to use the force to make a hit. It's unacceptable because guess who's downrange? A lot of us civilians. So again, we're going to focus at CSAT on the Indian first. We will show you how to maximize whatever gear you bring. You can bring red dots, zero magnification, magnified the rifle, magnified optics. So we'll show you how to use it. It's not a big deal, but we're going to use what's simple and works for us. And as the senior instructor here, I have to call for my instructors also what they carry, how they carry. So if they're doing teacher guardians, and most of them are iron sights, that's what you should be carrying as a weapon, something similar to what they're using. For them to use a micro gun for concealed carry and you to use a red dot pistol, for example, like this and shoot it in class, it does not lend itself to credibility. That's part of my issue. I have to fix this stuff. And so we'll keep it pure here at CSAT. So again, we focus on the Indian, not as much the arrow, but we can show you, how to maximize your arrows. So I hope this helps. You take care, be safe. I'll catch you on the range. Hi, Paul Howe, CSAT Way. I want to thank you folks for watching all our channels. So we have the YouTube. We have free content on the CSAT Way Facebook. If you want precision shooting techniques, go to the Patreon, CSAT Patreon site. For training, we have dedicated, we have private training, we have regularly scheduled classes. So you just let us know what you're interested in and we can help you out. We look forward to seeing you folks on the range. You take care, be safe.